what happens.
Recording in progress.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Art 195, 3D Modeling for Animation, the fall semester 2021. Last week, we finished up on learning a little bit about lighting in Lightwave. This week, we're going to switch gears and move back to modeling techniques and learn about organic modeling, which is a little bit different than what we've covered so far. Today, I'm going to start with a simple cup, a ceramic cup. And then I already have pre-recorded 5 separate videos, I think, 4 or 5, on techniques for creating a character head, which are quite detailed. And it's not that I'm expecting you to create a character for this semester, but it's definitely worthwhile for us to watch them to see the techniques involved in using what's typically called box modeling to build the head, building it starting with a cube and adding polygons as needed, mostly using bevel and smooth shift and a lot of point tweaking. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with something really simple to show you how organic modeling works. You typically want to work with quads, 4-pointed polygons, whenever possible. You cannot exceed the quad limit. You can't have an n-gon. That means 5 polygon, 5 points or more for a polygon. It just won't work with organic modeling. So you build slowly and add geometry as needed. Where you add the geometry takes practice. So let's start. I'm going to start with a simple disk. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and create from the top view just that. I want to be quite small, and my computer is a little sluggish because I'm broadcasting. So hopefully this doesn't become a huge problem. So I want my center to be perfectly centered. Let's start with that. So I'm going to make sure that it's 0, 0, 0 for the center. And I'm also using the default number of sides, 24. So 0, 0, and 0. There we go. So there's our, this is sluggish. So, and it has to do with my my internet connection to all of you. So the radius, I'm going to start by just building a big old honking cup here. I want 500 millimeters for the X, and the Z is going to be also 500 millimeters. Just for demonstration purposes. Okay. So there's my disk, perfectly centered. Now I want to increase this, and turn it into a 3D. Instead of a flat 2-dimensional shape, I want to turn it into a 3-dimensional form. Now I could have just started by building a cylinder, but just to show you that you can start with a simple 2-dimensional form and turn it, or shape, and turn it into a more complex 3-dimensional form. That's what I'm showing you how to do here. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to multiply, and we're going to use extrude. So I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so we can all see a little bit better. And by selecting extrude, I can now take this and I can click and drag and pull it up. And I'm going to hold down the control key to make sure that it stays, it's supposed to stay pretty vertical. And because of the herky-jerky quality of my computer, that may not be that easy to do. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off extrude. And let's look at it from perspective view. And let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit and see what we have here. So we have nothing more than a cylinder, which we could have used the disc tool to make. But now what I want to do is similar to how we worked with the reboot character to form his mouth. We used the bevel tool to create that concave area. Well, that's what we're going to do with the cup here. And then I'll use the more organic modeling techniques again to create the handle for the cup. So let's start by making sure that I have polygons selected. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that the top polygon is selected. And I'm just going to go ahead and from the side view, I'm going to, so I can see this a little bit more clearly, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Okay. Don't have to do this if you're working at home. And now what we're going to do, similar to what we did with Reboot's mouth, I'm going to hit B for bevel, and I'm going to right click and drag and release the mouse. Right click and drag and release the mouse to create the additional geometry that I need for the interior of my cup. So I'm going to right click and pull it out and in just a little bit like so. And let go of the mouse, right click and drag and pull it in a little bit. Okay. And right click and drag and pull it in just a little bit like so. And then right click and drag and pull it all the way down like so. Okay. That should do it right about like so. And now I can go ahead and I can release the mouse. I can turn off bevel. And now I can go ahead and deselect the polygon. I'm going to go back to our quad view. And let's look at our cup from perspective view. You can see that I've created the concave surface for our cup. Okay. So if I hit the tab key, and we're going to toggle on and off. Now I get an error message because I do have an end gone at the bottom. I actually have two of them. I have the discs. We're going to fix those. You can see though, in this particular instance, it still works okay. But we're going to correct that and make it work even a little bit better. Okay. So what I want to do is I need to create a couple more, a little bit more geometry so I can build the handle out of it. So what I want to do is I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I can see the sides. And I'm going to take this loop right here, and I'm going to move it up a tad. Whoops, I can't do that. So let's deselect. Let's select edges. And I don't have to do this, but I think it'll make it a little bit easier for myself. So if I select edges and I hit a couple of them, now I can go to select, and I can say select loop. Okay. So I want to select loop, which is at the top. Now I'm just going to hit T for move and move it up a little bit. I need to make sure that the inside is selected as well. So I'm going to hold down those. I'm going to go ahead and shift click here. Because remember, we have double sides here. Now I could do one or the other, but sometimes I forget. But it will help me, I think, to do both sides and to move them up. Go to select, select loop. So now they're both selected. So now I can go ahead and I can hit T for move. And let's go ahead and move this up. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and hit T for move. And I'm just going to go ahead and move this up just a little bit. No, it's not working for me. So I'm going to leave it alone. It's changing the top there. And it shouldn't be doing that. So I'm just going to leave it. I'm just going to deselect and hope for the best here. So turn off move. And maybe what I should do instead is let's select points. So what I could do instead is let's switch to points. So let's try that. So by me doing this, you can oftentimes see, when I'm in the midst of working on something, if one technique doesn't work, try another and go back and forth until you get something that works for you. So I'm going to go ahead and right click and lasso around all these points. Okay, so that's where they are. I don't know why I have these edges down here then. So let's deselect. Yeah, I don't know why how I created this little edge right here. So let's go ahead and to be able to bring the handle out here, I need to add geometry. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the knife tool, and that's found under the multiply tab. I'm going to click here. And I'm going to go ahead and left click and drag. Actually, you know what? I should just zoom in again so I can see a little bit better here. Zoom in. And I'm just going to click and drag across like so. Okay. Then I'm going to right click and drag across, or I don't have to click, but I'm going to go ahead and click down here. It looks pretty fixed. So I'll right click down here, add another layer of geometry. Then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to click here. And then I'm going to click up here. There we go. So now we've added geometry to our cylinder here. So I'm going to come out of here. Let's go back and let's look at what we have here. There we go. So now you can see that I've added geometry. And now what I want to do is I want to take from the side view, from along the x-axis here. Let's turn off knife because I don't need that anymore. And right along the side here, in fact, I will take, and I'm going to move this one up. So I'm going to take this one. Let's go back to edges. Let's see if I can't move this up. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the tab key. This might be easier for us. There we go. So now I want to make sure that these are pretty much the same. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move them from here and see if that helps. So I'll go ahead and select loop again. Hit T for move. And let's, from one of the side views, let's move it up just a little bit. Let's move it up. There we go. Now let's do the same for the outside down here. So it's about the same as here. So we have a nice square. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn off move. I'm going to deselect. And I'm going to select a couple of edges here. I don't want that edge selected. And again, I'm going to say select loop. And I'm going to hit T for move. And I'm going to move it up just a little bit. There we go. That's looking pretty good. And now I deselect. So I turn off move and I deselect. Now what I need to do, as I said, from the side view, and it's hard to tell the side. So let's go look here. And I want to make sure it's along the x-axis right here. Then I'm going to select these 2 points. So I need to switch from point view, from edge view to point view. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select this point and this point right here. And I need to stretch them out a little bit, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these polygons and I'm going to collapse them into one. Do the same for the bottom. And then I'm going to go ahead and use another tool. I showed you how to do that. A really nifty one down here under, not extender plus, let's see, under select, it's a multiply. It's under more. Oh, it's the magic bevel. Okay. But in order to be able to do what I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and hit H for stretch. And then from the side view, let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit. I can see. And I'm going to stretch it out. I'm going to click and drag so that that hexagon that I'm creating is almost kind of a perfect circle. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off stretch, deselect, and do the same here. So I'm going to select this one and this one, and I'm going to stretch. Whoops. Let's go ahead and hit H for stretch and stretch it out. There we go. Let's go ahead and turn off H for stretch. Deselect. And now what I want to do is I want to take these 2 polygons. So I need to switch from point view to polygon mode, select each of these. And then under detail, I can come over here and I can merge polys. So now that becomes a single polygon. I can go ahead and do the same for this one down here. Select both polygons and select merge polygons. Right down here. There we go. Now we're ready to use the, the magic bevel tool to be able to pull those polygons out and add geometry as needed. Okay. So I'm going to make sure that with those selected, let's deselect for a minute. And deselect polys. And now what I can do is I can go ahead and I can use the magic bevel tool. So wait a minute, under multiply, under more, magic bevel, everything is selected here. So what I want to do though is I need to find just this one polygon here. And I want to pull it out just a little bit. There we go. And you can see that it's being pulled out. So I can click from here. And it's becoming a total mess. So I need to go back and I need to select polygon magic bevel again. Come on. There we go. So let's select from here. And because of the herky-jerky qualities, I need to pull it out. So let's pull it out from the side here. I think I can see that from here. There we go. And it's kind of herky and kind of squirrely. Like so. But that's okay. What I'm going to do is I can come back up on here because by the default settings, it extrudes. Precision is 10, but it's not very precise. And what I can do is I can change the scale in the end. But before I do, instead of extrude, what I can do is I can edit the path. And that allows me to take each of these nodes and manipulate them so that it's a little bit more not a little bit more, but a lot more even. I can remove nodes. That would be a good idea too. So instead of edit the path, let's delete some of those knots. I don't need quite so many. Like so. And maybe I can get rid of that one. And now let's go back and let's edit the knots. Instead of delete them, I want to edit the path. Okay, so now I can come back in here. And let's pull this down so it's in front of the polygon that I created down here. Let's go ahead and move this out. So I'm just kind of reconfiguring this. And I probably don't need all of these nodes either. So I'm going to go back again and I'm going to delete some knots, a few more. There we go. We don't need all of them. So let's go back again and let's edit the path so that it's more like a cup handle. And again, one of the things that I still need to do is I need to change the scale. So I don't want it to get smaller. I just want it to be 100%. And you can see over here in perspective view that it's shaping up okay. So let's go ahead and try to create as much symmetry as possible. Because what I'm going to do in a minute is, like we've done before, is I'm going to join these two polygons at the very end here. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Let's move this in just a little bit. Try to get as much symmetry as possible. And overall, I'm pretty satisfied with that. I think in the end, I probably should move this down a little bit to create about as much space as we have at the top, the same as at the bottom. But I'm going to go ahead now, and I'm done with the magic bevel. So I can fix that. Now from the perspective view, I can come in here and I can begin to weld these together, similar to what we did again with Reboot. When we connected the foot to his leg. So let's zoom in a little bit, see what we're doing here. Okay, so I'm going to take this polygon, make sure that I have polygon selected. And I'm going to hit K for kill, because I don't need that polygon anymore. Likewise, I can take this one and I can hit K for kill. I don't need that one. And now I can use the weld tool. So let's go ahead and under detail, I'm going to go ahead and use weld right here. But remember what we have to do. We have to switch to point view or point mode here and come around, and I'll start at the top. And I'm going to select this point, hold down and select this point. Now let's go ahead and weld it. Now I'm going to come down here, select this one, click, hold down the shift key, select that one, and again, select weld. And just go around the horn, similar to the way we connected his foot or boot to his leg. Okay, the Reboot character. We'll go ahead and weld. And let's go ahead and move this a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to select this point and this one and select weld. And I'm going to zoom around a little bit. There we go. So I just have two more welds to make. And I'm almost to the point where it will be done. So let's go ahead and weld that. And let's select this one. And we can still manipulate the points if we wish. So let's see how symmetrical I am right here. And it's looking pretty decent. What I should do probably though, is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take these bottom points. So I'm going to, in point view, I'm going to go ahead and right click and drag around here. Okay, I'm going to hit T for move. Oops, come on. Why is that not doing that? Oh, not T for move. What am I thinking of? Yeah, T for move. There we go. What key did I hit? So let's go ahead and move it down a little bit. Stretch it like so. That looks pretty decent. Okay. Turn off move, deselect. And I think that looks a little bit better now. There we go. So there's, not quite the same, but close. Now let's go ahead and hit the tab key. And it's going to show an error. But the point that I want to make about working organically is that this now begins to look a bit more like a ceramic cup. Notice how the handles attach to the cylinder. That's what we're going for. Now, if I don't want it to be, to get that error message, then I have to do the following. And we've also done this before too. I'm going to go ahead and with points selected, I'm going to move this down just a little bit more. Just tweaking the points here and getting something a little bit more to my liking. I'm going to pull it down just a little bit more. Again, I want the same amount of space from here to here. So it looks a little bit better, I think. So turn off T for move, deselect. So to get rid of that, to be able to avoid having that error message, what I need to do is I need to select this bottom polygon. So I need to switch to polygons. And I'm going to bevel this in to create another kind of concave. So let's look at this from the side view here. Zoom in a little bit so I can see a little bit better. And hit P for bevel. I'm going to right click just to round it off just a little bit. And right click again. And right click again to go in, upwards and inwards here. So we get a nice concave bottom here that you typically see with bottles and glassware and ceramics. So let's go ahead and turn off default bevel. We're going to deselect, but I'm not going to deselect the polygon just yet. We have two polygons. We have two n-gons that we need to switch now and triple them basically so that we can avoid getting that error message. So with that polygon or n-gon selected, what I can do, again, under multiply down here, under more down at the bottom, I can select what I want to do is where it says make pole. Okay, notice how it turned it into that pizza pie kind of thing. Again, we did that with the reboot character. That's kind of why I did that with reboot, to show you that, those things are possible in a whole bunch of other instances. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select this. Let's deselect here. Let's select polygons. Select the polygon inside here. And let's do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and say under more, I'm going to say make pole, and that's under the multiply tab. And now when I hit the tab key, okay, it turns this kind of clunky geometric shape into a nice smooth ceramic mug. Okay, so that now is working organically. So in addition to that, I'm going to go ahead and show you on a different layers, what if I were to use a slightly different technique? We could join the handle to the cylinder using Boolean modeling, but you're going to get a very different appearance. Okay, so this is the organic modeling technique. You can always come back and you can toggle back and forth between n-gons, sub patches, whatever you want to call them. I'm not n-gons, sub patches. And we could manipulate the points a little bit and tweak them, but they're looking pretty good right now. It's not a bad choice, not a bad end result. And if I go ahead and I switch from textured wire just to textured, you can see how nice and smooth that appears. Okay. So let's switch to a brand new layer here. Now let's do something very similar to what we've done before. I'm going to go ahead, but I'm going to use Boolean modeling instead. So it will, I want you to be able to see the difference and see that sometimes organic modeling is appropriate and sometimes you don't need to use it. Maybe Boolean modeling would be a better choice if you want more chiseled kind of mechanical appearance to it. But I wanted something more organic looking. So let's go back to create. And I'm going to select the disk tool. And I'm going to go ahead and activate. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom out a little bit. And I'm just going to go ahead and pull this up. So I used bevel before, but like so. Okay, now where we do have to use somewhat organic technique is in order to create that concave surface. What I do have to do is I need to use the bevel. But if you recall, another way of doing this is that what I could do here is I could select this top polygon. So let's switch from points to polygons. Okay, and I could kill it. So we're looking at the inside here. But now what I have an option of doing is that I can create thickness to this, right? We can go to multiply and I can create thickness. So maybe we want to, create a different kind of mug here. So let's come back over here under multiply, and I want to create thicken. Okay. And let's go ahead and let's pull it in a little bit. I'm going to pull it in like so. Now this is very mechanical, so it's not going to look rounded at all. So I've pulled that in. Let's turn off thicken. Now this is another way of creating my interior surface. Now if I hit the tab key, notice that it's not as rounded at the top. That's what I needed. And again, I got that error message because of n-gons. But what I want to do now, how do I create my handle? So I'm going to switch to a separate layer. I'm going to put this one in the background. And I'm going to create a tube for us. And we're going to, again, use some of the tools that we've already used for the reboot character. So I'm going to select under create. I'm going to go ahead and select the disk tool. From the side view, I'm going to go ahead and click and drag like so. About what we had before. I'm going to leave the center where it is, but I'm going to say 125 by 125 millimeters. 125 millimeters. Now I'm going to stretch it out like so. Looks like it might be about right. In order to bend this though, no, it's a little bit too thick, huh? Let's go back and let's make it 75. Yeah, that might be better. 75 millimeters. Okay, that's about the right size for the handle. Remember, in order for us to bend it, I need to add segments. So let's go ahead and add a boatload of them to be able to bend it. And I want uniform bending. Let's crank this up to maybe 36, 40, something like that. Let me go ahead and move this out over like so. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and fix it. Now let's use the bend tool. So I'm going to go ahead and select bend under modify. And there's bend. Let's click from here, drag. And again, I want to make sure that it's, I have to look at all the different views to make sure that it's perpendicular and all, and it's not skewed in any way. That's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and turn that off. And now I have both of these guys, I've overlapped the handle just a little bit. And now what I can do is I can join them together using Boolean modeling. And remember, that's found under the construct tab. But you're going to see two entirely different kinds of cups. And it really depends on what you want to do. So organic modeling is one way. And again, just kind of typical kind of polygonal geometric kind of modeling here is a different way. So I'm going to go ahead and join them together. And now let's see what we have here. They've been joined together. And let's go ahead and just view this from that view. Now I can either smooth it, or I can try to go ahead and hit tab key and see if I get an error message or if it works at all. And you can see that it doesn't work. That's what I was talking about. When you do it this way with Boolean modeling, you can no longer use organic modeling. So that's a done deal. So I'm going to hit the tab key and go back. Now, if I want, this is nice and smooth, but this isn't. But we can always come back to our surface editor to smooth it out. And we can select smoothing down here. And that will give us a nice smooth look here. Okay, so that's another way of making a cup. I don't think it's as elegant as the one that we have here. Using organic modeling and building polygon by polygon, joining polygons together, making sure that we're working in a quad view or quad mode. The only way that we did change that from quads is that when I took the n-gons from the top and the bottom, and I used the make pole tool to subdivide it, kind of like a pizza pie, that those are now tripled. They're no longer quads, but we're at the end of our modeling process here. So it's unnecessary that we have that. So that's pretty much it. Now for Wednesday, I have a series of videos that I want to show you. They're already recorded and they're in modules. It involves head modeling using the box modeling technique, which is kind of what we just did, starting with a basic form, a simple primitive, and then adding geometry to it as needed. It's knowing where you need to add geometry, where you need to divide, where you need to use bevels, where you need to use subpatches, but it's adding geometry, step by step in order to get the final result. And then at the very end, using a whole lot of point manipulation in order to get the proportions that we want to make them work. Now, the fellow that will be doing the demonstrating from the videos that I've captured, his name is Todd Grimes. He's really an excellent, excellent modeler. I like what he's done. I've had these for years, these videos, and I think they work really, really well. So that's why I'm showing them to you. Okay. Do you guys have any questions for me today? Because that's really about it. My introduction to organic modeling techniques. No questions? No? Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording. As I said on Wednesday, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show the videos. If you guys are here, that's fine, but I will not be recording them because I've already recorded them. I do not post those recordings on YouTube because I would be infringing on their copyrights, even though they're old and I don't know that they even make the videos anymore. So because it is for private use, I publish it on Canvas, and they're available to you, to all of you. And that's pretty much it. Okay, so I'm going to pause the recording here. I hope this has been helpful for you guys. Show you just different ways of working. I have a bunch of other lightweight videos saved on my YouTube channel that were done by a different modeler that would be helpful for you. Creating a football, there's a whole bunch of them using kind of more organic modeling techniques. So let me go ahead and pause and say goodbye.